Ancient archaeology is, of course, pretty old, but it's also kind of new. What do we mean by that? Well, new discoveries about our long-forgotten past are always cropping up, which in turn reshapes our ideas about what went on back then. Want to know more? Then here's our list of 7 new archaeological discoveries from this year. It's a dirty job digging sewers, the ultimate dirty job, in fact. So it's great when a seemingly ordinary dig for maintenance purposes unearths true archaeological treasure. An ancient Egyptian temple has just been discovered by unsuspecting workmen in the Egyptian city of Tama, on the west bank of the Nile. Dating back just over 2,000 years, the temple existed under the reign of King Ptolemy IV. He ruled from 221 to 204 BC. At the time of writing, 2 main walls and the southwest corner of the impressive structure's remains have been found. There is emphasis on the god Hapi, who represented fertility and was believed to flood the river on a yearly basis. If you made this god angry, there'd be no crops. So no wonder Hapi was so important. Carvings of Hapi reportedly depict him accompanied by birds and other members of the animal kingdom who are presumably helping him deliver his offerings to the people of Egypt. We say him, but he could be a she, with Hapi thought to be androgynous in nature, as well as having blue skin. Speaking of color, the artistically minded King Ptolemy had a colorful history. In a nasty twist, he had his own mother, Berenice II, killed. Yes, he wasn't the best ruler Egypt could have had. When he died, this fact wasn't revealed to the public for a whole year. A trusted priest named Sosibius is said to have been the power behind the throne, which may have led to this bizarre cover-up. Still, we can forget about all the blood and carnage now and marvel at the architectural ingenuity of the pharaohs. The Middle East has a long and complex history, with Israel arguably one of its most complex countries. Groups such as the Ottomans ruled for a long time before the State of Israel as we know it took shape. A glimpse of the area's ancient past was revealed recently when an ancient megalopolis was stumbled upon in connection with the building of a road. In Assur, which translates in Hebrew to Forbidden Spring, is 35 miles, 57 kilometers, north of the city of Tel Aviv and close to the valley of Wadi Ara in Hasharon. The site is 5,000 years old and was part of the Bronze Age. Such is the ancient city's size and complexity, it has been likened to a historical New York. Experts from organizations such as the Israel Antiquities Authority (IAA) have marveled at the level of planning that must have gone into realizing an Assur. They believe they are looking at one of the cornerstones of modern Israel as it moved away from the country and into the city. Despite being what was then a modern site, tradition still loomed large. Evidence of religious significances have been found, such as a temple containing animal bones and a large stone basin, believed to be for holding liquids during rituals. That, together with a wealth of remnants like tools made of flint and pottery, mean archaeologists could get a better picture than ever before of how urban settlements operated thousands of years ago. In fact, the site is so significant, the planned road will now run over this vast megalopolis instead of being placed on top. A 2,800-year-old biblical rebel star has been found which provides fascinating insight into unrest and war in ancient times. It was actually located in 2010 at the site Khirbat Ataruz in Jordan, which used to be called Ataroth. The stone altar with its 2 inscriptions was inside a Moabite sanctuary. Moabites were West Semitic people who are mentioned in the Old Testament. At the time, Israel was divided into a northern kingdom, Israel, and the southern kingdom, Judah. A rebellion was led against Israel by Mesha, who was the Moab king. The Hebrew Bible relates how he became fed up with the high prince imposed on him by Israel, such as volunteering a tribute of no less than thousands of lambs every year. So he and his forces rose up and took Ataroth as their own in a big war. It's a well-known conflict referred to in ancient texts, but this altar is quite important as it appears to shed further light on what actually happened back then. While one of the inscriptions is a little cryptic because it's fragmented, the other talks about bronze which was plundered during the war. The words on the altar are in Moabite, and the numerals were produced using an Egyptian writing method known as hieratic. The stone altar had religious significance, of course, with experts claiming various substances were burned to create fragrance on its surface. Before this discovery, the attack of Mesha was documented on a tablet uncovered all the way back in 1868, so this is an intriguing look at biblical events as they actually occurred. Such finds really bring history to life and help experts piece together the puzzle of these ancient but critical events. Australopithecus anamensis may be difficult to type and a nightmare to pronounce, but this ancient skull is a missing link in human evolution. Before this fascinating fossil was found on the shore of a lake in Ethiopia 3 years ago, the major talking point for early humans was Lucy. She was called that because the guys who dug her up in 1974 were Beatles fans and listened to Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. Known as Australopithecus afarensis and also discovered in Ethiopia, Lucy is thought to be just over 3 million years old. Only 40% of her skeleton exists, but she taught experts a hell of a lot about how people developed, and she went on to inspire the Scarlett Johansson movie of 2014. As for this latest unearthing, it's the skull of a male which dates back 3.8 million years. Together they form a part of the Australopithecus group, which led to the branch of our evolution referred to as Homo. Unlike previous finds, the male skull is more complete. Before, only parts such as the jaw were discovered. Now, archaeologists and reconstructors have a bigger picture to work from. And there's no more powerful element in history than seeing the faces of your ancestors, right? Compared to Lucy, the male has jutting features and a tough appearance, just as well as those early humans had to chew their way through some much harder foodstuffs than we have today. Anamensis, represented by our male, and afarensis, that Lucy's part of, are separate types with one giving rise to the other. People aren't exactly sure when, but the skull has dropped some pretty convincing hints. From the info gleaned, experts think Anamensis overlapped significantly with afarensis by a period of at least 100,000 years. It just goes to show that no matter how long ago something happened, a powerful idea can be formed from lifeless fragments of our ancient past. Think unicorns don't exist? Well, according to one fossil, they just might. Though you'll have to work hard to get to our point. There was once a giant rhino roaming the grasslands of Eurasia thousands of years ago. It was referred to as Elasmotherium sibericum, or the Siberian unicorn. Why was it called a unicorn? Because it had an enormous horn right on its head. Not unusual for a rhino, of course, but it's thought this creature is what may have given rise to tales of the fantastic, mythical, horse. Anyway, fairy tales aside, the Siberian unicorn is giving scientists a fascinating insight into life after the Ice Age. Beforehand, it was believed the mighty beast went into extinction around 200,000 years ago. Subjecting 23 specimens to radiocarbon dating showed these estimates were wide off the mark. The Siberian rhino was likely on the planet at least 39,000 years ago. Taking a closer look at the rhino's DNA also revealed that modern rhinos separated from their Siberian cousins approximately 40 million years ago. The super rhino weighed in at 4.4 tons, 4 tons, and analysis of its chompers reveal it survived on a diet of dry grass. Not the easiest thing to consume. But then again, rhinos are notoriously fatty eaters as a species. With only 5 rhino species on the planet today, it's worth looking at how its ancestors died out in order to try and guess how we might save today's animals. When the Ice Age thawed, grasslands diminished, so it's probable the Siberian unicorn ran out of food, though no one knows this for sure. One thing is certain, this is one thorny topic. History is fascinating, but it's also pretty brutal. Those with weak constitutions might want to look away now. This 13th century mass grave in the Russian town of Yaroslav was discovered by archaeologists and excavated between 2005 and 2006. The grave, thought to date from 1238, was the gruesome handiwork of Genghis Khan's grandson, the Mongol Batu Khan, who tore through the country establishing what's known as his famous Golden Horde. Needless to say, but the victims here didn't die quietly. There were 9 so-called death pits containing an astonishing 3,000 bodies. Modern-day DNA techniques have helped scientists unlock the identities of these people who were so callously massacred and chucked into the earth. One of the finds was especially harrowing, being the corpses of 3 family members, a mother, daughter, and grandson. Analysis revealed they shared similar skull structures, and another aspect that linked them was they all had spina bifida, or problems with their spinal cord. Their teeth were interesting as they weren't in great condition. You might think this indicated they were poor, but far from it, it seems. This family consumed a fair amount of sugar, which demonstrates they were well off and part of a wealthy estate. The grave they were found in was a homestead inside a citadel, and the maggots told their own story. Experts concluded from the creepy crawlies that the bodies had been left outside for some weeks before finally being laid to rest. We're not sure why this happened, and to be honest, we don't want to. It sounds like something out of the X-Files, but believe us, this is all too real. A mysterious structure is to be found in the fortress of Narinkala in the Russian city of Derbent, which dates back to AD 300. Part of a dome visible from the surface is the only clue you'll have about this cross-shaped structure because it's buried underground for some reason. It goes down 36 feet, 11 meters, and is generally inaccessible. Not that experts don't want to get down there and check it out, but the fortress's status as a UNESCO Site of Cultural Heritage means they can't just go start digging. There's a lot of speculation as to what the structure is. Because of the cross shape, some have assumed a Christian church. Other theories include a temple and even a weird kind of water tank. Thankfully, there is one way to gain an overall picture of it, and that's using muon particles, a totally natural phenomenon. These are present in cosmic rays which fall earthward and collide with atoms in the atmosphere. Muons then break off and land on Earth, or to be more precise, they pass through objects. So if you measure them, you get an idea of what something underground might be, owing to the particles breaking up and decaying once they penetrate more solid objects. The same process was used to investigate the Great Pyramid of Giza. Muon detectors have given archaeologists an insight into the Russian cross, and the next stage is to use the info to generate a 3D model. After that, it's hoped the purpose of this ancient mystery will finally be revealed. While it's impossible to get a definite understanding of the whole of human history, experts can certainly get close with such an array of fascinating finds. If you liked the video, then click the subscribe button and turn on notifications, and you'll be the first to know when we release a new video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.